In today's episode, you're going to find out how the Commission's recommendations will impact unregistered providers, how the workers' screen barely screens for anything beyond murder, and how you can win $1,000 cash. This is a new episode of the Provider Playbook. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the powerhouse woman herself, Rachel Carey, and we're joined by Phil from HPA down in Melbourne, making the trip up this morning. How are you going?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me, guys. It's exciting to be here.
I'm pumped too.
All right. So normally what we do when we do these podcasts, to start off and get to know you a little bit better, the real you is Rachel gives us a bit of a game.
Oh my God. I totally haven't planned a game. Okay, all right. Let me come up with something.
Pause for an interlude.
No, I'm quick. I'm good. Okay, so I've got two games. We can either go most embarrassing story of your upbringing. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Right? Remembering your audience, okay? Or we can go tell us 2 lies and 1 truth, and we have to decide which one's the truth.
I have to think about it. I'll probably go the embarrassing one.
Okay. You better be
I'm not
good.
good at lying. Well, so many. I think I was probably the most embarrassed I ever felt in my life was like I grew up in a lot of in the country. A lot of my family were like fishermen, farmers, they did hunting and things like that. So it's, very boisterous sort of upbringing. And they're all older than me. I was the youngest one. So it was and I was younger by 10 years. So I really had to sort of, to match their level, I was a little try hard sort of kid. So yeah.
How many in the family?
There's 4 boys. So 4 boys and there's 4 girls. So
Oh wow, 8.
8 in total, yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
split between my parents remarried, so
Okay.
some of them were stepbrothers, but we all grew from young. So yeah, so we all grew up together. But yeah, so we went fishing one day and sort of pulling the boat in, and I kept grabbing the rope, going, "Oh, I can do it. And they're like, "No, we'll help. I'm like, no, I can." So they sort of turned around for a second and we're chatting, and the boat started to sort of pull away. So I grabbed it, and to the point where I was completely stretched out. And I screamed. They looked back and I just fell in the water and the boat tipped away. So
Oh my God, that's
that was
cool.
probably the most embarrassing. I didn't hear the end of that.
Yeah,
moment,
right.
So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very good.
What's yours, Rachel?
I was just thinking, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna come next, right? Embarrassing story. This one's probably more of a vulnerable moment, but it was very embarrassing at the time. So I was a young teen and I had really bad cystic acne as a young girl. And I remember I used to have really big cysts all over my face. Was on Roaccutane 3 or 4 times when I was younger or whatever. And I remember us sitting in Chinatown, we were eating Chinese. And I remember one of them was burst in the middle of the shopping center, poured down my face, and everyone started laughing. I know. So that's right. How isn't it funny that trauma comes up for me when I think about embarrassing?
Yeah, I was gonna say for mine, mine's actually pretty heavy, not really
Yeah, I know. We're going so deep already, right?
Yeah,
We've got to lighten the mood
Yeah.
here.
All right, let me think of a funny one. Oh, okay. When I first raced at Pro Tour, so we're all there on the grid, ready to go. I'm pumped. This is the highest level I've ever raced. There's TV cameras everywhere and stuff. We go to roll out of the grid, and the team that I was racing with were follow James out. You need to, because we want you to follow James. And I was like, no problem. So I'm about to go out, and then we're coming off the grid. James nails it. I nail it to follow him out. I fucking loop fist on the grid. I look like this is meant to be the best drivers in the world, all here, and I fucking spun this thing at fucking 4 kilometers an hour on the grid with everyone around, and I was just like, wow. I'm so glad I've got a helmet on. You can't see who that was.
So not much has changed, basically.
Yeah, it's still a Gumby.
Nice. So how are we going to get to know Phil then? We want to know where he's come from before we hear about all of his accolades and achievements and business and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Tell us what sort of led you to starting HPA? What's your background there?
there's definitely a bit of a story there. I don't know if we want to go right into it. I'll be honest, I've never been in anything disability. I've never been in healthcare before. I was in sales for many, many years. I worked with sort of big car brands and so forth. So that was sort of my career up till, sort of 4.5 years ago now. So just before just as COVID sort of hit, I was going through a few, changes, I guess, hitting sort of early 30s and things like that.
Oh, how hard.
Yeah, well, life changes so much, actually.
Like, what a problem to have.
Well, it is, but I don't know.
I forget how young you are.
I'm still 30.
Yeah, well, try to be nearly 40. God.
Well, I'm almost there now. I'm 30. I'm 36. So, I guess I was a little bit lost. Didn't know what to do. COVID hit, and I left, jumped ship, went overseas. My parents live in Greece, so I wanted to do anything but car sales, I should say. Like I was just so over it. I was depressed almost.
What happened to the car industry? Did you shut down during COVID? I can't remember now.
They did, yeah, they did. So obviously, like everyone, we were just sitting around. So I just sort of quickly made a decision and got out. I was hoping to get to America because my cousin's got a big chain of restaurants there, and he was like, I always sort of loved that country music scene as well. So they all fit. I was going to America every year at the time. So I went over to Greece. I thought I was going to be there for like a month. Got stuck there for 9 months. I was completely broke. My dad's like, "You got to go back to Australia," and I'm like, I don't want to do this. No. I sold everything that I had. So I'm like, when I was saying I don't want to go back, I'm like, there's nothing for me to go back to, and I'm going to have to literally start all over again with no one there. Oh, wow. So I had to go back. I ran out of money. So I through a few instances, got back to Australia, sat in that 2-week quarantine, and then got out. And
I love that that's what you remember.
Yeah, well, it was the worst. It was the worst. And not only that, like not having a plan or a house to go to after this either. It was almost a little bit of a blessing in the fact that they housed me for 2 weeks. So I had enough time to sort of try and plan something.
Yeah.
So I ended up just securing like a bungalow, which is probably about as far from the city as we are here to Sydney.
Yeah.
And
those listening, about 45 minutes?
About 45 minutes, yeah. So it wasn't close. Yeah. I had no car. I lost my license a few years prior before COVID. I got caught, sort of in a company car. And that got delayed, so that was still coming. So I knew I was going back to Australia and I was still going to lose my license. And anyway, so a friend of mine told me about this industry. I guess when you got nothing to lose, you got nothing to lose, So I sort of threw myself right into it, got my sort of head around the whole thing and just everything covered. Which is a lot. Yeah, it was a lot, yeah. So at the start it was like a lot.
Did you think I've never heard so many acronyms in my life?
I've never seen policy and procedures that big in my life, Like I'd never seen any, I'd never experienced with audits. I didn't have any of that. Yeah. So it was just a massive learning curve, over the next sort of 6 months. I threw myself right into it, learned everything I had to learn. I always say, we're not born with any skill. A doctor's not born a doctor. Anything can be learned if you apply yourself enough, and if you really want enough. And you got to be out of that 9 to 5 realm as well. It doesn't exist in that 9 to 5 realm. So I guess we started and came up with the name Help Provider Assist. And our vision from the start though was not to just register anyone. It was never going to be. It wasn't a cash grab. We wanted to do the right thing because we'd seen the problem is at that time no one was doing the right thing, or no one was. Well, not can't say they're not doing the right thing, but they weren't really looking after the client. It was like, all right, here's this. Now go off and do it yourself. A lot of people aren't born business people, so they need that guidance. They need, and then obviously there's renewals in the future. There's all that sort of stuff as well. So,
and a desktop audit to get registered is very different to a midterm audit, when you actually have to show that you are implementing your policies and procedures and the documents. And I mean, you've just got some random policy pack, then and you're not implementing any of your policies. That's not going to fly. Like, you are not going to get past it.
No, especially in the interviewing your staff and your participants and things like that as well. So. So
and nor should you, to be fair. You shouldn't.
No. But that's a problem. That's a problem with what I found in the industry when I started. It was, again, very early on. NDIS, there was no awareness hardly about NDIS back then. So we just sort of we made a system, worked closely with the clients, and just, I guess, it all started from there. So
Nice.
So in terms of like market share and numbers and things like that, you've now, if not the biggest, one of the biggest companies helping with compliance, and you also do marketing, and you've got other things coming up that I'm sure you'll touch on. Do you know what that sort of market share is and where you sit in terms of the realm of compliance and everything?
Yeah, it is a hard number to say, I'll be honest, just because
hard to quantify.
It is, yeah. I mean, unless you're a fly on the wall in like every single person's office, you're not really going to get, that sort of information to the full depth that you need it. Obviously,
already a BDM in the room. He'll probably be there.
Yeah. Well, I guess just from what clients say, from I guess the numbers, our growth, our scale over the last 2 years, I would say in the realm of roughly 35 to 40% market share when it comes to registrations or renewals. A big factor in that is the fact that we give free renewals for life. So we don't know any other company in Australia or consultancy that will look after all your midterm audits, every single audit there ongoing for free.
So you pay once and then do your initial registration, and then your compliance is looked
You
over.
have a client manager that's allocated to you. You do have access to all our stuff, but you will have one client manager that you've dealt with the whole time. And when your midterm's up, and obviously all your renewals from there, you just go straight to your client manager. They'll sort you out, and they'll give you a pre-training again, take you through everything, make sure that you know exactly what to expect through your audit, because that's another big thing I find. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you just need this, you just need that. And they're going to the audit and they don't know anything, and they get stuck and so forth. So I think what's really important about what we do is that level of consulting and that level of, what do you call it, like signposting, you should say, exactly what to expect, because, if you're prepared, then this is going to go very smoothly.
But it's something you have to live and breathe throughout your everyday practices in your business, right? Like, it's not just about like coming to a midterm audit every 18 months. Like, it should be happening in your business day to day anyway, and if you're following what you set out to do, obviously from a purpose perspective, but from, what your quality and compliance is there, then you should get to your midterm audit, and hopefully have someone like you and your consultants with them along the way, hopefully nurturing them through that journey, especially if they're new, that when they come around to their audit, then it should just be a matter of, just showcasing what you're actually doing.
I say that to clients all the time, I'll be honest. I say, like, they come to me and they say, oh, what do I do about my audit? Or, I'm really worried about my audit. I'm like, well, do you know how to do the job? Okay, do you know the policies to what your services that you're actually doing? You obviously practice them every day. So if you know them, then this is easy. Yeah. Because, again, you're doing this every day. It's only hard when they're not doing this and they're just, they've seen one or two people try and get into this. They're like, oh, a friend of mine's making really good money, or they're growing their business really quickly, and then it's, oh, and become provider. Well, that's where we draw the line, because firstly, it's going to be an uphill battle for my team to get you registered, and then we're going to have to spend so much time with you when you shouldn't be registered, because if you don't know this, again, you're right, if you don't know the policy and procedures to your service, then just having them on a piece of paper isn't going to help you. And again, when you get to the midterm, you're going to be caught out as well. So we don't just take on any provider, because in a way, we've got a duty of care that, for ourselves, but also for the participant, So you don't, like I said, we don't want your providers that decide to do this 10 minutes ago. That's not who we target, that's not who we're going to assist, because I've got to then help you find a participant. And in the back of my mind, I know that you don't even know what you're doing. So
how do you sleep at night if you want
that's
to
why
do
I
that?
won't do it. That's
You know
why I
what I mean?
won't
Like,
do
how
it.
do you lay your head down on your pillow and go like, as you know, people living in
This
our
taxi
country.
driver is.
You love the taxi driver story every
Yeah,
time.
the taxi driver story too. It must have been the same taxi driver.
he got through you and he's like, I'll try you. You know, he's just going through all the people that can help him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy the other day actually say to me, he goes, calls me up and he's like, oh, just want to get a quote on sort of registration and so forth. Like, what do you do? He's like, I'm just, household, like gardening and, light maintenance and so forth. He's like, everyone's telling me it's mandatory. I'm like, well, no, it's for those services, it's not. I can just tell you that it is like everyone else and take your money, but we're not that type of company.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell someone when they don't need it. Obviously, we're a big, obviously we want everyone to be registered because that way everyone's accountable for what they do. But obviously there's some services that don't need it, like gardening.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like you really live and breathe whatever your values are.
yeah, well, we work 24 hours a day, but it's exciting. It's exciting.
So do we all. Did you sleep last night?
I think the model that you use really lends itself because of the fact that people have to, because you cover once they register for the lifetime of their journey, it's in your best interest to teach them how to do it rather than just giving them a policy pack. Because if you teach them how to do it, they can do a lot of it themselves and it doesn't cost you more and more money to just keep feeding policy packs. And I think that's the problem with a lot of other companies out there is it's an off-the-shelf policy pack is what you're paying for to get through audit. And that's the problem because that's how a lot of people are becoming registered that absolutely shouldn't be because they have no idea. And as if they get this policy pack of 300 pages of documents, they're not going to sit there and read them. Whereas you give them that, you run them through it, and then it's in your best interest to. So it's a model that, while it's good for the customer that's getting audit ready, your model lends itself to making sure that they're actually knowledgeable and practice what they preach. Because otherwise, the less you teach them, the more it costs you, essentially.
Of course.
Yeah. And also, it's just a total waste of your resources too.
Yeah, but even past that, again touching on what was saying before, like these are people. We're not dealing. This isn't. You're not buying a bag. You're not buying. These are actually people, and our most vulnerable people in our community. So.
And there's somebody's loved one.
Of course. I mean, like we've spoken about this before. You wouldn't go to an unregistered doctor. You wouldn't go to an unregistered mechanic. You wouldn't go to anyone unregistered for all your products and your bags and your cars and this and that. But you
I mean, unless you go to like Bali.
Okay.
Well, I mean, some of us can't afford to really know. Just joking.
Yeah, it's all Bali.
So I mean, like it's an industry that you're literally dealing with people. So I think this is more important in our industry than any other industry. Because it's not a product you can just give back, and it's not things happen that can change someone's life completely. So
absolutely, and it's such a high risk service too.
Huge.
Like it's not like, for example, as you said, you go out and you sell a car and the muffler blows. You know what I mean? Like this could be potentially life or death.
Sorry. What happened? The muffler blows.
I don't know. Is that a thing?
I don't think so.
Falls off?
No, tell us. What happens with these mufflers?
I don't even know what a fucking muffler is. Who am I kidding?
Well, as long as it doesn't blow, then it's alright.
I know that
right?
it's a car part, right?
Yeah, it is.
Is when mufflers blow? Is that a thing?
That's what they're meant to do. They're meant to blow smoke down.
Oh my god. So what's the opposite of what they're not supposed to do?
Well, that's what we picked up.
Yeah. No, you tell us more about your muffler knowledge.
You don't even know. What are they gonna? What's the thing that when they break? What happens to them?
No, they like bring the sound down, and it's I'm not giving you a lesson on combustion engines.
Don't you get holes in mufflers, and that fucks them?
Yeah, that would. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so a hole in your muffler, all right? There's the equivalent. Thank you for that life lesson, Chris.
But then you've got catalytic.
I'm gonna walk away with so much knowledge.
You could be an unregistered mechanic at the end of this.
Exactly. Is there a thing that registers? No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you finish at TAFE, you apply to get your license.
Oh,
like
well,
as a tradesman.
So it sounds like it's got better compliance than us then. At least you need a license.
Look, I don't know the licensing structure for mechanics.
We digress.
The mechanics playbook.
Yes, exactly. Next podcast series, we'll have all the hot tips for getting registered as a mechanic.
Led by Rachel.
Yeah. Okay, while we're on audit then, how about, can you give some insight of what you think, just a quick snapshot of what the top 5 tips are to get audit ready?
I mean, look, it all comes around the training. So, but, you know, to be audit ready, obviously, you've got to have your company registrations in order, you know, your insurances, the right documentation, the right training. So from all your supporting documents, policy and procedures, again, you have to understand them, know what you're doing. Again, so they're just your documents. You should know that on your head, but they're probably the main things. But it all comes down to the training. Without that, I mean, you can buy audit modules, but that's not really going to do much for you. You know, most people need things in layman's terms to understand it, you know, especially when they're learning initially. So
yeah, and I always say that audits are such a beautiful opportunity to have a fresh lens, to have a bird's eye view of your business. Like, we're so busy in the do, like running the business, doing the thing, and then to have somebody to come in with a fresh set of eyes and say, actually, I feel like you could improve in this area. I think it's wonderful. You know, like, so because you might not have considered that before, you know, because you have a different lens. Like, we've been audited a number of times. We've been audited by a nurse and they have a very clinical perspective, and you're audited by someone who has an accounting background and they want to know something different. You know, they're more like tooth and comb kind of things. Is that the same? Tooth and comb? No, fine tooth comb. Yeah, God, this is what 4 hours sleep gets you. Mufflers and tooth and comb. So I think, I don't know where I was going there. Where was I going there? How do I even finish that sentence? And you're not helping me. You're supposed to be my co-host, Chris. You're supposed to help me in these moments. I just fucking laugh.
Chris is stuck on mufflers.
What was I saying? Oh, different perspectives. Thanks for nothing. Right. So, like, you know, a nurse might have a clinical perspective, and, you know, someone with an accounting background or something else might have a different, you know, lens on what they're looking for in audit, right? Because they just naturally go towards their skill set. Yeah,
100%. That's the only thing. I don't know about you guys, if you guys have noticed this, but every audit is so much different.
Oh,
like,
have we got time?
I was gonna say, like, again, I don't want to touch too much, but like, it's weird. It's like so much. So I know this is not what our clients want to hear, but we've had a lot of success with this in the past. Is we actually more go for the more in-depth audits. The reason why is because if you can pass an audit with these people that are, you know, will go through everything like a fine-tooth comb, like we said, with a tooth and comb,
like a muffler with a hole.
That's going to be your intro. Learn about the tooth and comb. Welcome to the NDIS Provider podcast.
But we say to them, you know, we don't want someone that's just going to brush through, because, you know, again, it goes back to the knowledge.
You're paying for audit, so wouldn't you? Like, literally, we pay for that. So why wouldn't we want somebody who's going to come and actually add any value?
Yeah.
Like, I think we just need to switch the perspective on audit, you know. So, like, you've got an opportunity, if you have non-conformancies, to go back and show how you've got opportunity to improve and how you plan on growing. Unless you are absolutely got all these non-conformances, you should be unregistered. You should not be registered. So, like, if you're getting to audit and you're having even non-conformities that's a beautiful opportunity to go back and look at how you're doing things and change processes, systems, training, development, whatever it is, you know. So that's
the thing. Non-conformities. People say to me all the time, like, oh, they get so scared when they hear the name non-conformity, you know, like, because obviously it sounds so official, like it's a big error or something. And I say to people, it's really, non-conformities are easy. Again, it just goes back to the process. Do you know how to do catheter care? Well, that's you know the policy and procedure.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You should only be scared if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes. And obviously, as a provider too, like, the practice standards, the rules, the legislation, it all changes, right? So unless you're reading the practice standards, like, every time there's an evolution of them, like, it's very difficult to stay abreast across all of the different nuances. So, like, you can expect stuff to come up that you go, oh shit, we hadn't considered that, or whatever. Like, but isn't that any business? Like, is anyone just cruising through business, just like killing it?
Oh. I don't know.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
you think that businesses are just like going through just being like you don't have problems?
No,
Everyone's got problems.
Yeah, but I think you could, I think there's a lot of businesses that can go out there and can cruise, but at the end of the day, it's the customer that suffers at the end of the day. So, I think a lot of people are, and I think that's the issue with registration in the first part for a lot of other people out there that are doing registration is there's people that do want to just cruise through it. They want to spend 10 grand on a policy pack and not have to worry about it. And they're the people that are looking after your child, your mother or whatever. And
well, you're definitely not going to have a top tier company or a big one if you're just cruising.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you're going to have trouble constantly.
Yeah, and I think because there's like we're becoming so saturated as well. Like I shouldn't say saturated, but because there's lots of people getting registered and becoming providers, that they're getting weeded out so much quicker now. Because as soon as you have a conversation with a consumer that knows their loved one, their child, or has been in the NDIS 3 years, it's not like 3 years ago. They're going to ask the hard questions. They're going to want to know how you manage their medication, let's say, for example, or how you're going to oversee their catheter care or any high intensity supports. Like, they're coming far more like onto it now. So I reckon just give it time. We'll weed them all out,
Yeah,
and with the new review and all the recommendations, I think our sector will evolve.
But I think those family stakeholders are becoming a lot more savvy, like you said too, which from a marketing perspective and what I do, it allows for you to invest more into your marketing, because prior to that, what was happening is people didn't quite realize how involved you can be as a family member to ask those questions and things. It was the process from going to submitting your documents, going to the LAC, then you get given these referrals.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If I go to the doctor and I get a referral to go to a specialist, I go to the one that I'm seeing. I don't go and Google a different specialist. But now that people realize that there is that choice, voice, and control, they are asking, they are investigating. So certainly from a marketing standpoint too, it's now important that you are portraying what it is that you're doing. Whereas before it was more about focusing on getting referrals.
Yeah. And I think people are starting to understand the language, like the NDIS language, So before it was like, what is SIL, or, like, what does this mean in my plan? Like, what is capacity building support? Like the language is so complex that it really doesn't, like, it's not simple, for a mom or dad to understand, or for anybody actually, I shouldn't have just like put that into a like pigeonhole. Yeah, pigeonhole. There we go. So now I've lost my train of thought.
With awareness, you're going on about awareness. So with awareness though, like I've noticed a massive difference. When I first started this, like I'd speak to half the people half my clients that would call through, or people just call and say, "What's this NDIS thing?" It was or you say to someone, "Oh, have you heard of the NDIS?"
Only like the biggest government scam since Medicare.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Bigger.
Really?
It's big actually. Yeah, it's getting bigger.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's bigger than Medicare.
Yeah.
Bigger? I'm not sure. What's Medicare right now?
I was like, I thought you said, what's Medicare? I was like, really? No. And I was worried about my being told
well, it's definitely, I think it is the second, it's bigger than the defence budget now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And what I was going to say, we got a thumbs up. Like he's Googled it in the background. Thank you very much.
Well, then it is bigger than Medicare now.
33.7 billion in Medicare, and it's over 40 now for NDIS.
Wow.
The biggest scheme in Australia.
History. Well, it was the biggest review I heard in the Commonwealth. In the history.
Well, that's something to think. Like, you think, how much money do doctors make, right? And how much do surgeons make? All of this money that comes through Medicare. And then you've got these people that are becoming unregistered and taking money out of a scheme that's paying more, that has more money in it than doctors and surgeons and things like that. That isn't a ad for you to go and become a provider, but that's why there needs to be all of this compliance shift that we will segue into in a sec. That there needs to be registration and compliance. You have to go through 10 years of training to become a doctor or a surgeon to get access to that 33 billion in government funding.
Hundreds of thousands in schooling.
Yeah. And then to become an NDIS provider, you need to go down to the RMS for half an hour. You could do it from your living room with an ABN number. That's the sad part. And that's what we need. So we'll touch on that because the recent review suggested that all providers need to become registered.
At the moment, from the understanding that we got from that was obviously it's a recommendation at the moment. Yeah, they're recommending it, which is great. So they put that sort of start to open that conversation. Like every government scheme that we know of, I mean, most of them become all mandatory.
Yeah.
In the end, as they get bigger. Surprised it's been 10 years now. It's just 10 years of NDIS and we're still not fully there. I guess being such a big scheme, the infrastructure needs time. But
What they need is more resources.
yeah, there's definitely. But yeah, that has to go down this way. I mean,
Yeah.
it can't keep going the way it's going.
What's going to happen with the backlog though? Because you were telling me the numbers the other day. How many people are registered versus unregistered in terms of active providers that have been, paid an invoice in the last 3 months?
Well, going off the review, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I
Don't
think
me.
from the review, when we read through it, it was roughly about 16,000 registered.
Yeah.
And I think the review, again, sorry if I'm wrong, but it was, 145 or 156,000 unregistered.
Wow.
So if it's already taking 18 months to get your registration through,
For specific registration.
We've
groups.
seen a little bit of a
10%.
change. So we don't know if the commission changed anything. Again, it's taking about 6 to 8 months usually. Sometimes up to a year is what we're seeing. I don't know, it's weird. Sometimes, like the other day, I heard that 9 or 10 of our providers got their registration all on the same day.
And I think,
So
that's scary.
That's what I mean. Like they got their so.
Was it
I
like,
don't know,
is
someone
it like a really, because I know if you've got a high risk service delivery, such as SIL, for example, or high intensity supports, then those registrations take a little bit longer. But like, say, for example, if you're just registering for like transport or home and maintenance or something like that.
I don't think it matters because I've got people, like sometimes they'll say to me, "Hey Phil, how are you going? I haven't spoken to you for a little while." Like, yeah, great, how's it all going? And they're like, still waiting for my registration number. Only a handful of times that went over a year. And obviously we can't do anything about it. It's all up to the commission, So our hands are tied.
Yeah,
what's
what's
that?
them,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I've heard 2 months. I've heard a year.
And they've got to
all
do
over
their
the
due
shop.
diligence, right?
Yeah.
Like they
But
can't.
if it's still taking that long and 10% of the sector's registered, how are they going to get the other 90% registered in a timely manner?
I think that's why they recommended it.
That's why it's a 5-year plan to roll out.
Exactly, yeah. It's a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
But it takes them 10 years to get 10%. How are they going to get 90% in 5 years?
Well, because they haven't made it mandatory.
No,
So
but when they
you know
do,
what I mean? If they make it mandatory, and then they obviously will have to throw a whole bunch of resources
Yeah.
to, obviously for the commission to be able to do the backlog plus all of the flood of influx of
It's just employees at the end of the day, training employees, isn't it? I'm sure they can do it.
Yeah. But and how expensive it's going to be to do it.
Of course, it'd be very expensive.
So what's your advice then for if you're an unregistered provider right now, knowing that this is coming, would you make the move now? What advice would you be giving?
I mean, if you're planning, if NDIS is what you want to do, and this is the industry you're going to, stay in, whether it's part of your business or all your business, you'd be crazy not to. I mean, yeah, if the backlog's 8 months now, imagine what it's going to be like in 2 years. Or imagine when it's mandatory what the backlog's going to be like. So
Because it was something about doing something with plan managers as well. And I know that we're going to do a whole series on this a little bit later, but like getting rid of, sorry, I shouldn't say getting rid of, but like, maybe removing plan managers or increasing.
and local area coordinators or something. as
Yeah,
well,
like,
possibly.
so like, how could someone be plan managed if we don't have plan managers? Or are they planning on replacing plan managers like a different thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, yes,
We'll know
I mean,
more soon.
I heard something about
For our next
making it all into one, but again, it's all speculation until it's all just going. We'll see how it rolls out. But we have to look. I'll be honest. So we have seen a big spike in interest for registration since this review.
Yeah.
So, which is a great thing. People we spoke to 2 years ago, 10 to 15 participants working unregistered. Are like, now I'm ready to go ahead. So I mean, it's got to happen. You can't be throwing this much money around and having all these people, and then just having it free for all pretty much.
Well, it is. You were telling me the other day, the NDIS worker clearance that people need to go and pass to essentially an ABN and a workers clearance. To not be registered takes 10 minutes, and the only thing it screens for is like murder or something.
So
like
tell
that.
me, how do you think the NDIS work experience safeguards our participants? Like, I've got the list here in front of me of the disqualifying offences of somebody with a workers clearance. Now, you have to have murdered somebody, genocide, acts intended to cause death, child abuse. I'm not even going to try and say that one. I don't think you have any luck either, Chris. Acts endangering life or causing injury, again, child-related, has to have a child-related sex offence, have child-related abduction or kidnapping, or people smuggling offences.
No fraud.
There is nothing here on fraud, drug-related offences. There is some presumptively disqualifying offences, but it's not, which is manslaughter and drug-related
What
offences.
about driving offences?
No driving offences, no DUI, no domestic violence, no weapons, no drug-related offences, no current, like no AVOs.
And you can still get a workers clearance. So as long as you haven't committed mass murder or singular murder, you can get an NDIS.
I think there's a few more in there, but like I read this the other day because we had a scenario come up because we're now doing both the police check, New South Wales police check, because we're currently servicing New South Wales, plus the NDIS workers clearance, because it doesn't cover off any pending charges either if you got an NDIS workers clearance. So like if you're currently undergoing a pending criminal conviction or whatever as well. So I wasn't even aware of that. I thought NDIS workers clearance, right, well that's safeguarding everybody, but I don't think it is.
So it's funny. I'll let you still become a provider on most of those things there, but but if you are, there's some of this, like the minor things that they look at, like for instance, if you've been bankrupt, you can't do this. But they don't care if you've assaulted someone. Like, you serious? Like bankruptcy over assault? Like,
but I even work in the sector. Like, we're not even talking about people becoming a provider now. We're talking about NDIS workers clearance so you can work for a provider or to work in the space. Like, this is supposed to be the safeguard. I don't think that's good enough.
I don't understand, and I don't want to name companies out there. I really don't. But I'll say this one. How do your Mabels do this? They're the biggest unregistered provider. How do they get away with this?
I don't know.
A company like Mabel, so big, like it's so, Hopefully it, when it changes, it'll change for the better. So.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're still such an evolving sector, and like when that came across my desk the other day, a little while ago, I was just mortified that
manslaughter is only presumptively disqualifying. So you can commit manslaughter and you're not necessarily disqualified from being...
So basically you can go out and you can have a drug-related crime or, do PV or anything.
Relating to national security. Sorry, this is ridiculous. So you can be...
First time Chris has read a legislation in his life. Let's get this on camera.
It's only presumptively disqualifying.
I know.
So they look at it and go, I mean, they didn't detonate the bomb, so let them build an autism school. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
But they made one financial mistake and they're...
Exactly. And how many businesses do you know that have gone bankrupt and just gone and registered another business and just started again?
Well, do you think
20 builders a week at the moment?
Are they UCIS registered?
That is so bad to say. I know that is so bad to say because I feel so sorry for all those people.
Yeah, but like builders, developers, like I can rattle off a number that just go, okay, close the doors, open up shop next door,
I've seen a lot of providers doing this. Sorry, I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen a couple of providers doing this and they've started doing the same shit the builders are doing where they're phoenixing, like as soon as they get a big tax bill, a big super bill, they just change it. And the only person that they're screwing is the government that's paying the NDIS that pays their wages and they won't pay the tax for it. And then their employees that are helping the people and not paying them their super and all of this. And then what they do is they just... I know a business that's done it 3 times in the last 3 months.
And I've got another one.
Reportable offence and...
Yeah. Another one does like independent support coordination through this company and then sets up another company and does call supports and just refers to the company. Come on, man.
That is happening all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't give a shit. We're going to start fucking calling them out because those people need to be called out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so watch this space. If you're doing that shit, we're going to call you out here on Provider Playbook or wherever.
This is why, guys, we started HPF and why we're launching HPF now. So HPF, obviously, for viewers and so forth, is Health Provider Finder. So it's going to be a nationwide, obviously, directory, starting with NDIS and then expanding to all allied health from there, or should I say health professionals. The reason why is because a lot of people are calling these people out, especially with people living with disabilities. People are scared. That's why we created HPF. So it's got a whistleblower side to it. So if participant someone is doing the wrong thing by them, or they feel like they're being ripped off, or they're not getting the right service and so forth, there's someone to call and say, hey, I think this is happening. Can you help me? Without actually,
So I've got a question on that. I love reviews, right? But sometimes I go on to let's say I go to a restaurant and then I'll read the reviews on Google, right? And this is, I know, a different scenario, right? And then the Google review will be like 2s and 3s and because I had a bad customer service experience. So I'll be like, I had the maddest experience. So obviously reviews are a little bit because no one's going or ringing Telstra and going, just want to let you know I'm having a mad service today. I've got 4 bars, 5G's been all day. No one's doing that. Ringing Telstra.
20 megs a second. Thank you.
Everyone's ringing Telstra to say, my internet's been down or there's cock-ups or whatever, right? Feedback is 80% going to be neutral or negative, right? So I suppose what I want to know is on these particular sites like HPF, will there, and again, let's call it a client with a psychosocial disability that's going through a psychosis or having a bad time or whatever, and they're like, gets on there and says something and then obviously just has, a disgruntled or whatever, right? So how do you manage that so that either the provider or the participant can either remove it or you can exchange in terms of, giving a summary of your feedback so that it's not just, a one-way sort of.
Yeah, we definitely have thought of that. Yeah. And that's why we've brought in video testimonials as well. So you can actually leave a review.
Yeah.
But we understand it's not what you say, it's also how you say it a lot of the time. So you can write, oh, you had a great service, but just because you want to be nice. So it's a lot harder to do that on video. So we're bringing video testimonials where people can actually leave their experience. So it's leave your experience instead of leave your review. And it's a video, they can off their phone, they can tape themselves and so forth. But that's where it comes down to also investigating. So we understand that if we're going to do Health Provider Finder properly, then we've created what we've got our investigations team who approve the providers who want to go on there. So once you sign up, you need to go through an approval. And then there's obviously an investigation side of it too. So because there is always 2 sides to a story.
100%.
You need to look at both sides.
3 sides normally, isn't there?
Almost.
There's the others and the truth.
Yeah, the truth. Yeah. So that's a good one, actually. So it's going to take a lot of infrastructure, and obviously we've been planning for that, and we've built that. But this is, we just want to put more power back into participants' hands, but also back into providers' hands too, because again, it's not just a name, number, address, email you're looking at. You're seeing their profile, you're seeing their staff, you're seeing the reviews, you're seeing what they offer.
Nice.
So
how they do things differently.
So you can actually see what other people are doing, and again, it's a lot harder to lie on camera when you're videoing yourself than
unless you're super awkward,
but you can type anything.
He's really good on camera, but I had a filming thing the other day, and oh god, it wasn't just atrocious.
Oh, it was. What was that? And the best part was when I went, "That's perfect. Now with more energy." So she starts screaming at the camera. No, with more energy, not screaming. And then I don't know how you do this. I was like, I did 2 videos
on the way there.
On the way there as I was walking there.
Oh, mine was 40 minutes, all this coaching behind the screen. I was like, more energy, now less that, now with a smile. And I'm like, by the end of it, I was exhausted. And I was
we were one more time.
And I was
last time you went, fuck it, we're done.
You know how nervous I was when I started doing live videos? Because we do a $10,000 giveaway on the portal. So one portal member wins $10,000 cash or 12-month free marketing on the 1st of every month. When we started that 6 months ago, I was shaking the first time because you have to do it live. Because you want to see people to see that's real and believe it. It's funny how you sort of get used to it. But at the start, I was like,
I think this is something that I've learned with boxing stuff that one of the guys was telling me, he goes, it all just sort of clicks. You learn this part, you learn this part, you learn this part, and then instead of thinking, it just becomes sort of like muscle memory. And it's the same thing for me when there's a camera on. I don't know how, but I'm almost not become a different person, but I can articulate myself better. I can use less ums and
Oh, that's
things
my
like that.
thing.
I still do
all
it,
the
but I
time. I'm
do it
like,
less.
Rachel, I would punch myself in the face when I hear it back. Because like, why are you saying
But the more you do it, it'll just click. And I feel like I can speak a lot better when a camera's on than off. So
Interesting. That's the entertainer in you.
we've got to do the brand's personalities.
Yes. I'd be so interested in your brand personality. Can
I
you
think
just
I'd be
go
the
through
same.
that session with Debbie and just see what you are?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What's a brand personality?
Oh.
So Rachel just went through her personal brand sort of journey, and she went to Debbie, who's a branding expert. She gives you of about 16 different brand personalities. It tells you who you are. Are you the entertainer? Are you the magician? Are you the
There's lots
warrior?
of different ones. Yeah.
And they sort of describe who you are and what motivates you and things like that. And so you got the magician.
And the entertainer.
Okay, and what's the name? What?
So the magician is like, so in that particular business, which is my personal brand where I do coaching and mentoring to other NDIS business owners, we do events and things like that, and I present and speak and whatever. That part of that personal brand is me, which is magician and entertainer. Those are the two brand personalities. So the magician is like, more transformative, so it's like how you transform things and, make magic happen and all that kind of stuff. And then the entertainer is just that I'm jovial and I'm just a dickhead, basically. And I'm not so great behind the camera, but I love being in front of an audience. Like if you get me in, if you've seen me present before, I'm dancing and carrying on it. It's very fun. So that's the entertainer side. So she has a book called Brand Magic. So she does like a really good strategy session with you and then breaks it down based on a whole suite of things. And then from that determines that things like brand colors and things like, so like, certain elements of those things will how you perceive it in the market.
I had something like that, like I had someone explaining this to me like 15 years ago, actually. Similar to what you're saying now, because he was just like, we'll talk about business and so forth. And he's like, most businesses that are really successful, especially big ones with teams, they'll have their wizards for certain things. So you'll have your extrovert, your guy that's really good at sales, and you'll have, your tech wizard, he's rubbish at sales, but he just understands everything.
Yeah.
He's like, and if you find,
normally
I think it
super
was like
awkward in
3.
conversations.
Yeah.
And
And then you find then you've got the other one that's the fun, outgoing networker and so forth. And, if you get all of those right and you find all those people and you get it right, then your company
it's your
will be
who,
successful.
not your how.
Exactly,
That's what I always say, right? Like if you got the right people,
Team buy-in and culture. This is something that we work on with the providers we work with a lot, is getting that culture right. And that's, I always use you as the example, because most providers, when they start and they're delivering care on the ground themselves, that's when that best care is going to be provided, because it's their business, they care the most and things like that. As you start to get the head and the heart of the business get further apart, you have less oversight over that, and you start to get a bit more diverse in who's out there providing. Whereas you are probably one of the only providers that, as you've scaled, the care on the ground has gotten even better. You've essentially created this mini army of Rachels. Everyone embodies what it is that you do. If there was a police lineup of 20 people, I could go number 1, number 7, number 12 are Rachel staff.
Yeah.
I could pick them out because they're all not miniature versions of you, but they all embody that thing. And culture, that's what has taken you from 0 to 200 staff in under 3 years.
Yeah.
Is that everyone embodies that culture.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Well, it's funny you say that, because we did a value session yesterday and we invited, people from all aspects from all functions of the business, that we feel like are value superstars, who really embody it. And we brought them together for a workshop, and to make sure that we were still aligned with our current values and that they were still working and everybody was embodying them and all that kind of stuff. honestly one of the proudest moments in business for me. Like, it was so nice to hear the stories that we were sharing, the impact that we were having, and how we were embodying our current values, and how we needed to spice up a couple of them, actually, you know. And then a lot of feedback is that, you know, that nothing has changed over those, that our values are still the same, that we still, like, the OGs are still with me, like, you know, that and we're still embodying all of that, you know. So it was a really super proud moment to be a part of that yesterday. And
and people see it as this tokenistic vision, which
it's
is value.
not.
When you can do it tokenistic, and you read some providers' websites and it goes to whatever, but when you actually go, okay, what's instead of the tagline, the true line, we've been through this, and
tagline, the true line. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. There's all of that impact that you want to make. You need that there to underpin. Ruth from ACAL, she's coming on the podcast the next time that we film. So she has, her values aren't values, they're rules of the game, and they run it sort of like a playbook, if you will. So she's going to talk about that there.
Yeah,
a lot of them are about, you know, accountability, and when if you are going to fuck something up, tell someone at the first possible opportunity so people can plug in and help you. And a lot of these things so that nothing's getting missed in the process, so the person with a disability at the end of the line is getting the best possible care. So
100%.
she'll talk more about that on the next.
Yeah, no, she'll like my
next
media
episode.
rules then.
I think
Isn't
culture, guys, is probably the most important thing in any business.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like no more evident than it was back when I was in car sales. Like, you would go from one dealership to another dealership that are exactly the same brand. They sell exactly the same cars. They've got the same service department. Everything is exactly the same. It's the same brand.
Yeah.
Right? Yet, two dealerships are completely different results.
Yeah.
And you see the it's all culture. And that's what we've tried to embed in our company as well.
Nice.
It's the culture of, like, we've embedded a culture of hard work.
Yeah.
You know, that we'll go to the end of the world for our client, and that's it. And there's no ifs, buts about it.
Yeah.
You know, if it means you've got to stay back, you've got to stay back. And it was so hard to build that. I don't know about for you, but for me, it was, I had to let so many people go, you know, because, you know, all it takes is one.
Oh, the
All it
cancers,
takes
like,
is
they
one.
just, like,
You know?
they can just,
Oh, well,
I can't say the words, so you need to audio video
well,
this.
it becomes, you know, the ones that you know, don't really care and things like that. Other people see it and they're like, well, if he doesn't care, well, why do I care? And that's how it starts, you know. So
100%.
yeah, culture.
I say hire slow, fire quick.
Yeah.
You know, like, hire slow, make sure they're the right person, but if they're not.
Well, that's it. It's so difficult to find the right person, but it's so easy to teach a skill. Like you said earlier in this podcast, no one's born a doctor.
No.
You can teach anyone
Yeah.
any skill. Like all this blogging stuff that I've been doing recently, like, it's been a huge learning curve as we've gone along, but with the right people there to do that, you can get it done. It's just going to take a little bit longer, and if you can persevere through that, you can get some really high quality results because the right people will want to progress you.
Who is Chris in 2024? Who is this man? Huh? You're back, baby. That's amazing. That's a fucking golden nugget right there. I was too busy listening. I forgot to write down. Sorry. Maybe you have to do the wrap up today.
Yeah, I haven't been taking notes.
All right, so we've talked NDIS work experience. We've talked the changes in for the recent review on becoming registered. We've talked a little bit about why you got into the industry, your top tips for getting audit. Why don't you share? I know you've got an upcoming webinar. Do you want to give us a little bit of insight about what that's all about?
Definitely. Well, Chris is actually going to be a special guest on that.
Oh, cool.
Flying down to Melbourne?
Yeah.
Find us now to join a webinar.
Yeah, because it's live.
Yeah, it's going to be live from our office.
Cool.
So we're going to go from start to finish. So pretty much everything you need from the first thought of, I want to get into NDIS, or, you know, obviously want to start to work for, I want to work for myself, should I say? And then right through to, you know, how to scale your business in the long term, which is obviously Chris will share a lot with what he does in that.
Nice.
So just start to finish, everything you need to know. So whether you're a new provider or an existing provider that wanting to scale the business and just not sure of how to do it, or you're stuck, then we'll show you how.
Okay. So the time commitment from people is?
It is 7 p.m. on the 8th of next month. So 8th of
February.
February.
Yes, 8th of
8th
February.
of February, yes.
7 p.m.
So it's going to go for about 2 hours. There'll be
Two
a Q&A
Yeah.
in there as well. And we're actually giving $1,000 cash.
Oh, what, for attending?
Yeah.
Oh
just
my
for
God,
attending.
sign up.
No, not to everyone.
No, We're giving
It's a giveaway. Get on.
yeah.
Got that part, Chris.
I hope
Bloody
so to
hell.
everyone. There's so many people.
Sign up, you get $1,000.
It's like-
There's the energy. There's the energy again.
That's the clickbait for this podcast. Sign up and you get $1,000? Question mark. As long as there's a question mark on it.
There's those dodgy providers.
Dot.
Come sign up with us, we'll give you an iPad.
Oh, now we're going to
Cringe.
We're going to that
Cringe.
space.
Awesome.
Space.
T's and C's.
So it's on Eventbrite, so we can put that in the description
Yeah,
or
wow.
the bio or whatever.
If you want to have a chance to win that $1,000,
Yeah.
you have to go to our Facebook
You
page.
just have to sign up, people.
And so, well, firstly, yes, sign up,
Yeah.
but share, tag either provider or someone looking to get into it,
Yeah.
and like it. That's it. That's free.
Okay. Seems easy enough. And
Can I, before we finish on that, we're going to give some of our best shit away. Like,
yeah.
in terms of the value and how to grow and scale and
Oh, it's going to be
Sounds
it's
like
going
I
to be
need to
very
be there.
detailed.
Yeah. Well, I'm presenting with you the week before.
Yes.
So I'm giving so much value away. You're giving away value. You're giving away value.
We're just giving away value.
It was like Oprah. Yeah, Oprah.
Yeah. What's that Oprah?
You get a cornerstone program. You get a provider marketing
You
card.
get a pay rise. Yeah. Love
I'm
it.
going to go broke.
He's giving away thousands of dollars. No, I'm just joking. That escalated quickly. All right.
Final thing that we want to touch on, the CRM.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, look, that's something we're really excited about, guys. And if you aren't all using it, you should right now. Get onto HPA Plus.
There's the car salesman.
Right there.
I see you. I see you.
No, but in all truthfulness, hey, we built this. You know, we purposely priced it the way we've priced it. We understand that it's up to 98% cheaper than any other system. You know, it's practically we're making no money on it. We're pretty much like for what we pay to run this thing, especially with a lot of users. It's only $100 per month, 40 employees, so 40 users. We don't charge per user. Unlimited participants on there. It's billed annually, so it's only $100 a month, $1,200 AUD per annum, inclusive GST. And yeah, 1 to 40 users. It's got every single feature and function that any other system has, but more. It even runs KPIs. It understands obviously when a shift changes, so rate changes. You don't have to go back on your invoicing. I know that's a massive one for providers. But
Do you only
anything-
interpret one award or do you interpret multiple awards?
Multiple, yeah, multiple. So we obviously update the pricing guides as NDIS does on there for you, so it's all on there. We will expand that obviously to other industries later, but right now we're just going to focus on NDIS. And we interviewed over 100 providers that are currently using other systems to find out what theirs doesn't do, so we can build it into ours. We're not looking at upping the price at all, not in the next couple of years anyways. So for right now, if you're using any sort of business management software to run your NDIS business, definitely try HPA Plus because it's very easy to use. It's probably one of the most trendy systems on the market. And it's got more features and functions at 98% cheaper. So why wouldn't?
Do you have like how do people come and try it? Do you have a walkthrough or a demo or a free trial so people can have a look at our thinking of changing?
We've got consultants at HPA Plus, so they can contact our office directly and just get a personal walkthrough. There's also quick start guides on the website, but
No business owner's got time for that shit.
sorry, yeah. You also get a
Mine says
7-day
the quick
free
start
trial.
guide and I was like,
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a 7-day free trial,
Okay.
unlimited. You know, actually, and unlike other ones, you don't have to put your card details in or anything.
Oh, I
Use the 7 days.
hate that because
That
I
is
always
the
forget.
worst.
unless
Yeah.
you're booking a bottomless brunch like I did for Saturday and I don't mind because I'm definitely showing up to that.
Well, not only that, like it's
Cancellation policy will not apply.
Oh, right,
You
right.
know?
I hate putting my details in when I'm not going to use something because then they've still got my details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So forth. So
You don't know if you're going to use it yet.
Exactly. So
Mm.
so they can sign up without having to pay for it all 7 days. Like I said, they get all the help they can get directly. If they want a phone call, they can email us. But yeah, definitely anyone should try it. It's going to save your bottom line so much. These systems, I know HPA spends thousands every month on their CRM. to use, obviously, to run the company. So if someone came to me and said to me, I'll give you this system that's doing everything yours does, but more for 98% cheaper, I'd be like, take my money. You know what I mean? Like, take my money. Like,
cold call Phil because he's
Yeah, he wants you to take his money.
Yeah, you see how
It's
random-
like me. I get
see how
freaking
random
how many
it-
times that I get random
pipe
shit
drive.
postage
Pipe
to the
drive.
office, and the girl's like, "What's this?" I was like, "The Instagram ads again."
Oh, you.
Get me every single time.
Yeah.
I've got some really good stuff. What's in?
well, if pipe drives are listening, your system is amazing, but it's way too expensive. Way too expensive. Like, you know,
Have you tried
Get-
Go High Level?
sorry?
Go High Level.
No, what's that?
Oh, this is completely going over my head. Yeah, I'd be keen to sit down and have a chat with you, and you know, I think that what's lacking in our market is an end-to-end CRM system that suits the needs of our businesses. So I'd be keen to sit down and have a chat with you a little bit further, and even help with some development stuff.
Someone like yourself has so many providers, and your network is so big.
I just heard Sam Providers. I work with them all.
Yeah, I mean, if you can use it and you like it, and it works
Yeah.
for you, then yeah, you're going to save a buckload of money and
Yeah.
time and everything else. So, yeah.
Maybe I'll have a chat with you. We'll look at it and then come back on the podcast and I can.
Because I mean, these days with the outgoings, that's going to make it's not what you turnover, it's what you profit.
Oh, yeah. And I think anybody that's running an NDIS business knows that obviously we're in a price capped market. So it's not like any other service-based business or product-based business when you just increase pricing when your product costs and services go up as well as
Of course,
running your business. So I think that we need to find as many efficiencies as we can to impact our bottom line as well, because it's very lean. So you have to run a very lean
Well,
operation.
what gardener charges me double what NDIS gardeners get? So I'm just like, so
What
obviously,
does an NDIS gardener get? What's the rate?
or someone in household tasks, what is it, like $50? It's usually, look, I mean, I think it's like,
It's just under like
$50 to
a self-care
$60, just under
ordinary.
$60,
So
yeah.
like,
but most people, I'll be honest, because we've registered a lot of gardeners and so forth. A good friend of mine is actually doing this as well. He looks after a lot of NDIS participants. And if anything, he actually charges less than what the NDIS actually have as a minimum, because he's like, oh, honestly, Phil, no one has it in their budget. Like, it's 50's the cap, you know. So he goes, but I'll do a private job at $70 an hour. So if anything, yeah, your bottom line NDIS is the most important, because
totally.
I think
Absolutely agree.
All right.
Well,
let's
we're going to
go
wrap it
through-
up.
Yes. Actually, last plug before we go. Provider Sprint. Is there any tickets left?
I don't think so. Maybe.
We're sold out.
Well,
We're going to have to go to Brisbane, Melbourne.
I know. We're going to do East Coast for sure, but I think we're sold out. I don't know. You have to check out the website.
I need 2 tickets for...
You need 2 tickets?
Yeah, I'll talk about
Yeah, maybe I'll squeeze you in. You can go in the back corner somewhere.
it. I mean, not for me.
No, obviously I know it's not for you. So you're presenting it. I mean, I'll allow you to sit in the other sessions. I think you'll get a lot of value out of the other sessions, actually.
So tickets are sold out.
I think so.
I guess
Yeah,
enough
we might have a couple left. So jump online. I'll put in the tag in here. If we are sold out, I might ask them to bump up the tickets a bit. I don't know if we can fit any more in the room.
No, we can't. Maybe we just run it back the day before, February 1st and February 2nd.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
from the have, eh?
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. Yeah. But yeah,
Urgency.
yeah, you should have got the early bird soz. But if it's
Well, I did tell everyone.
yeah, exactly. But if it is, check it out. There might be a couple left. Yeah.
Cool.
All right,
Golden
so
nuggets.
here we go. Golden nuggets. I normally come with 3, but I always end up finding more. So I've got 5. Okay. So my first one is from your beautiful original story, and that is, often you can find beautiful opportunity in a fork in the road in life. Which I think is just a nice takeaway in general. The second one is get registered now, because if not now, then when, and who knows what's going to be happening later.
Like yesterday.
Yeah, on yesterday. If only we had one of those things. What is it? That your hair guy that goes back in time. What's he called again?
Time machine.
That's it. Yes. Okay. Number 3. Be ready for questions and know your shit now as a provider, right? Because at the end of the day, the consumer should be asking the hard questions, and we should have the answers, as far as I'm concerned. Check out your webinar and HPA Plus. So we'll leave some links in the description, so you can go and check that out. And I loved your one, Chris, your nugget. Instead of the tagline, give us the truth line. I fucking love that. So thanks for that, share.
No worries.
All right.
All right.
Happy
let's
Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
off to the
having me.
weekend.
It was great. coming
Better than
here.
you expected?
Let's grab you.
It was so
Sounds
much
fun.
Phil
fun.
travelled
That's
all the
so
way up
fun.
from Melbourne, flown in this morning,
Flying.
come here for this, and then flying home.
Mm.
Just to give us all of that insight around.
Yeah, thanks for making that.
registration.
That's
So
why it's
thanks for
great.
making
It's like 16 in Melbourne, so I'm so happy
Oh,
to be
yeah.
It's like 16 degrees.
Yeah, you can always guarantee the Wild Wild West will bring you heat.
Yeah.
But no, it was great to come in the office. Thank you guys so much. It's good to hear your side and the other someone else's side, because I get stuck in my own world sometimes. I don't even look at anyone else again. So it's good to network. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Great to have you. Check out the links below, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See you guys.